Two mothers, each on opposite sides of a devastating war, a few hours apart.
אני רוצה להגיד לחמאס, אתם לא תנצחו אותנו אף פעם, אף פעם.
يا رب عشان اطفالنا وصغارنا يا رب بكفي يا رب مش قادرين نتعرف على حبايبنا وعلى جيراننا يا رب مش قادرين نتعرف يا رب.
A few kilometers south of the tunnels that IDF destroyed, a carnage took place that left the world in horror. The visuals from a camp in Rafah bombed by Israel are too graphic to show. You might have seen them or read about the devastation. This is one of the most difficult stories I've had to piece together. I'm Manish Adhikary and you're watching First Things Fast. Rafah, the southernmost city in Gaza, became a refuge for over 1 million Palestinians from northern Gaza last year, following orders from the Israeli military. On April 8th, James Elder, a UNICEF spokesperson, called Rafah a city of children.
This is where children and families were told to come. This is where they were told they'd be safe.
But on May 27th, Rafah faced its worst nightmare. An Israeli airstrike razed a camp that was thought to be safe. There used to be a camp here that sheltered displaced Palestinians, including many children. At least 45 people were killed, including many children who were burned alive inside their tents, according to observers on the ground. This is Muhammad Abu Asa, an eyewitness telling AP that he heard the sound of the bombing and ran over to the camp that is full of displaced people, full of children, women, young and the elderly. He said he saw body parts and dead bodies that were melting. This woman was crying and praying as dead bodies lay on the floor of a medical center in Rafah. The morning after, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu admitted to a tragic mistake, a technical failure that led to the strike. He promised an investigation.
ולמרות המאמץ העליון שלנו שלא לפגוע בבלתי מעורבים, קרתה לצערנו אמש תקלה טרגית. אנחנו חוקרים את המקרה, אנחנו נסיק את המסקנות, כי זו המדיניות שלנו.
The Rafah strike had come just hours after Hamas launched missiles at Tel Aviv on Sunday. Hamas was firing rockets for the first time in 4 months, trying to show its military strength despite Israel's Gaza offensive. The IDF had responded in no uncertain terms.
Today, Hamas terrorists in Gaza fired 8 rockets at central Israel from Rafah, sending millions of Israelis to bomb shelters.
2 days earlier, the International Court of Justice had ordered Israel to stop its Rafah offensive.
The court considered that, in conformity with its obligations under the Genocide Convention, Israel must immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah governorate.
Meanwhile, in Israel's parliament on Monday, listening to Netanyahu's speech was another set of victims. These are families of people who were taken hostage by Hamas on October the 7th. They were holding a banner with photos of female hostages that read, "Look at us, in the eyes." Last week, families of 7 Israeli female soldiers captured by Hamas on October 7th released graphic footage of their abduction. The video, originally shot by Hamas, was edited by the IDF to remove the most disturbing scenes before they shared it with the Hostages Families Forum. Again, as with the visuals of Rafah, parts of this video too are too graphic. We're only showing you stills. It is this footage that triggered the latest wave of protests by Israelis against their own government. In this footage from 25th May, just 2 days before the camp in Rafah was bombed due to a technical error on the part of the IDF, the Israeli police are clashing with protesters in Tel Aviv. The demonstrators are angry with the Benjamin Netanyahu government. They want the government to bring back the hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza. Just hours before the camp in Rafah was bombed, thousands of mourners were attending the funeral of an Israeli hostage in Tel Aviv. This is Vered Yablonka, the mother of Hanan Yablonka, who was killed while trying to escape when Hamas swooped down on the Nova Music Festival on October 7th. His body was found later in the Jabalia refugee camp in the northern Gaza Strip.
היהודים נרצחו תמיד בגלל שהם יהודים. זה לא הצליח לאף אחד, וזה גם לא יצליח.
Down in Rafah, meanwhile, while world leaders moved on with their daily routine after expressing outrage, these Palestinians were walking around inspecting the damage. You could still see some smoke smoldering here as a crowd gathered around trying to make sense of the grave tragedy. This is what remains of a tent in the camp. Thank you for watching First Things Fast. Stay safe and stay informed.